Well, I think we've hit the point in the year that it is time to rant about the Seattle Mariners. So the Mariners, entering mid-June, had a 10-game lead in the AL West. They now sit a game back of the Astros as I record this on July 25th. What happened? The Mariners are in a complete and utter free fall. I'll be honest, it's one of the best free falls I've seen this team have, and I've seen a lot of them over the years. I don't have an answer. All I know is that it is very frustrating to be a Seattle Mariners fan. The team has been around since 1977, has made the playoffs 5 times, never won an AL pennant, never been in the World Series, and this team still refuses to fix itself. Now, I do believe it's from the top to the bottom. Ownership has always been an issue with this team, always. Management hasn't always been that great either, but they are handcuffed by the ownership, and then it just trickles down from there. But how things are set up right now, it may be the most aggravating out of all my years of being a Mariners fan, and I've seen some horrible Mariners baseball, but they have one of the best pitching staffs in baseball right now, ranking first to third in almost everything but strikeouts, but they are almost dead last in every category when it comes to hitting. What Justin Hollander and Jerry DiPoto did in the offseason, tried to address all of the issues when it comes to the offense, completely failed. I mean, utterly failed. And I know a lot of it too was to cut money and payroll and to get rid of some players. I get the real reason, but this is what they said. You know, they're going to add some pieces because they want to strike out less, and strikeouts were a real issue last year. That's why we're getting rid of Kelnick and Suarez and Teoscar and a few other guys. Instead, you bring in Garver, who's just been garbage, a old Hannah, rely on some other pieces that you don't know much about. Polanco, who's just been a complete bust. Ty France, that just DFA'd him. I mean, this offense is horrid. And I was around to watch the 2008, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, you name it, Seattle Mariners. I thought those teams and offenses were horrible, but my goodness, what they roll out there every night right now, even with Julio and Crawford healthy, it's an embarrassment to this team. It truly is. It's just a giant bird finger to your great starting staff. They go out there every single night, throw their tails off, and they have nothing to show for it. Off the top of my head, I believe the Mariners in the month of July have had 11 or 12 quality starts, and the Mariners have lost 7 of those games. Let that sink in for a second. Your starter's going 6 innings, giving up 3 runs or less, and your offense is so inept, and your bullpen is so shaky that you can't even pull out a win in the majority of those quality starts. How sad. And the worst part is, I don't think there's anything out there that the Mariners can really do at the deadline to even fix this team. I'm sure they're going to add a slight piece here or there, but they need 6 new hitters, not just 1 or 2. And they need probably 2 more bullpen arms, because that back end of the bullpen, not that great outside of Munoz. Stanek's been shaky. Voth, wouldn't trust him. Thornton, wouldn't trust him either. You start getting to the other fringe guys, wouldn't trust any of those guys either. It's pretty much Munoz and that's it out there. But getting back to the offense, this whole season has just been an utter failure. It's a lot of hoping and wishing, which I know that's what the Mariners do every year, but come on. This is just an embarrassment. The hoping and wishing is just so aggravating. You roll out Ty France, who hasn't been good in a year and a half. You're hoping he does something this year before you DFA him. Jorge Polanco, who's just been injury prone most of his career, but definitely last few years, and you're hoping he becomes like 2017 Polanco again. Hasn't even came close to that. JP Crawford became the real JP Crawford again before he got hurt. Been horrible all year long. He's had 1 good year with the Mariners. I know everyone loves Crawford, and that's fine. He seems like a really cool dude, but let's not make him the next A-Rod or even Carlos Guillen. Crawford's not a good hitter. He had 1 good year last year, and outside of that, not a good hitter at all. Rojas playing third, he gets exposed a lot. Defensively, been solid. Offensively, well, there's a reason the Diamondbacks traded him, and he's kind of a platoon-ish guy in Arizona. Raleigh, super solid catcher, bordering really good, but they run him into the dirt, and he strikes out still way too much. I mean, 20 home runs and 60-plus RBIs is fantastic, but still strikes out a lot, and with them having nothing behind him, I think they do play him just a tad bit much. Again, there's just nothing to replace him with, so he has to play every day. Left field, up and down. Rayleigh's had a few hot streaks, but really, whatever. He's been a little bit better than what I think Kelnick would have been with the Mariners, so I guess that's a little bit more than a lateral move in a way, but not much. Julio's just been an absolute stinkfest all year long. I know it looked like he's kind of coming out of it there for a bit, like right before the All-Star break, but overall, not great. That's another half a season that he's not been good. People forget last year, he stunk pretty hard last year before he had a great month and a half after the All-Star break. And then right field for the Mariners this year, another kind of dumpster fire. You have an old Haniger who I will always appreciate what he did for the franchise, but he's a little washed at this point. And they've rolled out Canzone and a few others out there who are just not good. And then of course Dylan Moore is sprinkled in there throughout the year at different positions. But are you picking up what I'm putting down? This offense just stinks. And I haven't gotten to the best guy yet, which is Mitch Garver, who's essentially a backup catcher that you're paying $12 million to. And you're paying him another $12 million next year to just stink. The guy looks like a pitcher up there trying to hit. He is awful. Truly. I don't think I've seen a worse Mariners hitter in my life. And that is truly saying something. I mean, I have watched Tuffy Ghostwitch take swings at the plate. I have watched Rob Johnson take swings at the plate. I have watched D. Gordon swing, Malik Smith, Brendan Ryan, Jeff Cirillo, and the list goes on. And I think Garver is the worst. He's easily one of the worst free agent signings the Mariners have ever had. And I know $24 million really isn't all that much when it comes to baseball nowadays, but for the Mariners, that's a lot of wasted money. You could have had Gino Suarez for the same amount of money, and you're telling me that Suarez wouldn't be better right now compared to Garver. At least Suarez, you know he's going to strike out a lot, but he plays a great defense, and he's going to run into a few balls. He's going to hit a few home runs and hit a few doubles. Garver bats 170, and yeah, he's got a few home runs, big whoop, but he strikes out a ton. At least Suarez bats over 200. Oh boy, it's not saying much nowadays in baseball to be barely over the Mendoza line, but Garver is 30 points under. He's awful. I also know a lot of people want to fire Scott Service, and I personally just don't see the point of it. I really don't think it's his problem. Yeah, I know sometimes he kind of fuddles around with the bullpen a little bit, but beyond that, what do you want the guy to do? He only has the guys that show up in his clubhouse. It's not like he has the 98 Yankees or the 2001 Mariners or the 2010 Rangers or whatever. He's stuck with the 2024 Mariners offense. What do you want from the guy? He's handed a pile of you-know-what almost every year, and I don't know what people expect him to do with it because he can only do so much. Simple as that. And I'll be completely honest, if they fired him today or tomorrow, I wouldn't care either way. Don't hate him, don't love him, just very indifferent. This is very much DePoto's team, and it always has been, and this is kind of what you're getting. Whether you think DePoto is great or not, I don't think it really matters at this point. It's time to get to business or get off the pot. This is their last year when it comes to their contract for DePoto and Service, and without a doubt the pressure's on. They have to make the playoffs this year. If they fall on their face after having a 10-game lead in the AL West in the middle of June to not getting into the playoffs, they better clean house. And of course, this opens up the wider conversation that until ownership changes, nothing really changes because they will bring in some other flubby that it won't matter. And they'll bring in the next DePoto or Jack Sorenzik or Bill Bavasi, whoever. They'll spin their wheels for another 5 to 10 years and do nothing, be 500, mediocre. They'll make money. They'll all laugh and be happy, and then that person will get fired. It's the same story over and over and over again. But still, regardless of all of that, if DePoto and the Mariners fall on their face completely after having that big of a lead in a contract year, they don't deserve to come back next year because this is in the middle of year 9 with this staff, and they have one playoff appearance to show for it. One. That's it. And yeah, they've been in contention a little over half of those years, but it doesn't matter to be in contention if you're not making the playoffs, which they've done one time with DePoto. That's it. And I know I probably need to get a life like a lot of fans do that love baseball and football and so forth, but this is what I choose to invest my time in. Instead of watching a TV show, I like watching the Mariners during the evening. It's my favorite form of entertainment, which is baseball and football, but it's just so frustrating to sit here night in and night out and watch a team that's not even fun to watch. I mean, I've watched way worse Mariner teams that are way more fun to watch than this because you know every single night the starters will go out there, pitch their behind off, and the offense will go out there and just sputter, fall on their face, strike out at least 10 times, fail with runners in scoring position, and just be awful. It is completely aggravating. If this Mariners team right now had even the Oakland A's offense, they'd be a juggernaut. They would be unstoppable right now. But no. They have a worse offense than the Chicago White Sox that have only 27 wins almost on August 1st. Let that sink in for a second. This starting staff for the Mariners is not just carrying them. I mean, they are like throwing the rest of the team to the finish line. It is absurd. I'm really hoping that they do something at the deadline. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm not holding my breath for anything spectacular or great, but they have to do something because where they're at right now just isn't acceptable, especially after all the moves that they tried to make in the offseason, even even though it was just for budgetary reasons. Regardless of that, I feel like you have to do something because you never know if your pitching's going to be this great again. Because if you just get into the dance, you never know. You might win it all. Look at the Rangers last year. They lost the division on the last day of the season. They didn't panic, went into the playoffs, won the whole darn thing. You just have to get in. And with the Mariners pitching, if they just get in, you never know. But at the moment I'm recording this, I don't feel like they can because their offense is just that bad that they can't even become league average. If their offense was just in the low 20s right now with their great pitching, things would be looking a lot brighter right now. But no, dead last in almost everything when it comes to offense and almost number one in everything when it comes to pitching. I've just seen this team fall on their face so much over the years. It's just so frustrating. So many teams that have been so close over the years and they just can't get over the hump in the last 20 plus years. And I just hope that they're able to find enough WTW in them, enough gumption that they can just fall forward in the playoffs. Even if it's through the wild card, I don't care. Just get in. But even as I say, just get into the wild card, as I'm recording this, they're 3.5 back in the wild card because they are 1 back in the division right now. And the Rangers are only 2.5 back in the division right now. It's getting tight, folks. It's getting real tight. And the Mariners are right in the middle of it somehow, by some miracle, and they got to do something about it. They got to improve their offense in some way. And I'll be completely honest, I do believe a rebuild is coming sooner rather than later. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that or think of that. So I'm not opposed to trading some of your top prospects for some offensive pieces here at the deadline. Because again, you don't know if your pitching will ever be this great again. And if you can just get your hitting to, I don't know, even 25th in the league, 24th in the league, you'd be sitting a lot prettier than you are today. Because if this completely fails, like I keep saying, everyone's going to get fired. Reset button's going to happen no matter what. They're going to trade off some of their pitching and the next rebuild will begin. And we'll be sitting here another 5 years from now. Well, maybe the Mariners are getting close. It's been year 4 or 5 of the rebuild. I hope they can kind of turn it around with the new regime, even though they've been here for 4 or 5 years. I'll probably be saying that in 2029 or 2030, sadly. As of today, please address the hitting. Please get better. Please figure it out and please go for it, because if you don't go for it this year, the dark days are upon us once again. And I think I'm gonna leave you guys there. I've gotten everything off my chest. Being a Mariners fan is tough. And I know there's a lot of other fandoms out there that is very tough to root for, but the Mariners are very uniquely aggravating because they're not a poor franchise. They just have ownership that doesn't like to spend money. I mean, they're one of the most profitable teams over the last 2 seasons, but they refuse to spend money. Very, very frustrating. But whatever, they're just entertainment. It is what it is. I just wanted to rant about this. So let me know your thoughts on the Mariners season so far, what you think they're going to do at the deadline, down in the comments below. And while you're down there, if you can like the video, subscribe to the channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. Until next time, guys, everyone have a great day. Thanks for watching.